Hello, Redwall Survivor. Foxpen here with an episode of Foxpenmanship, a Redwall Survivor podcast where Nara and I discuss the latest Mossflower Odyssey competition, Mossflower Odyssey 5, Heaven Sent. In this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Duelist category of the top 30 apps. This is one of 10 categories, including the wildcard category. That's going to be a fun one. Just you wait, though. Nara and I are going to read the top 3 Duelist character applications. Then we're going to give a little review of each character in a separate video broadcast. Whatever this thing becomes. So buckle up, keep your paws and tails in the cart at all times, and enjoy the ride. So, this is going to be the first Duelist for Mossflower Odyssey 5, Heaven Sent. And it is Elliot, the 40-year-old male fox. I'm gonna stop you right there, Elliot. I don't believe you're a fox. Everybody knows that Elliot is a moose. And he is on the loose. So here's Elliot the fox, even though he's a moose. Shut up and let the blades do the talking. Thoroughly taken aback, Elliot shrugged as if to say, as you wish. Rather than taking the long sword at his side, Elliot chose the rapier. Then a stance was taken to mirror his opponent, a younger opponent. The hare gestured at his two companions, and they backed off, corralling foot traffic quickly gathering to watch at either end of the stone bridge. Like coiled snakes, both duelists remained still. Then, without warning, blades were met. The hare gave no quarter, but the fox gave no ground, deflecting blow after blow. The attack only relented when a gash appeared above Elliot's shoulder. He paused to inspect the tear to find his arm intact, but the jacket ruined. He sighed, acknowledging the beast's skill with a nod of his head. Tauntingly, the hare saluted Elliot with his rapier before attacking again. A new dance began. The duelists circled each other now, but Elliot continued on the defensive until a pattern was created, and then destroyed as Elliot sidestepped and thrust. The hare withdrew to clutch his wounded shoulder. When he realized where he was hit and that he was bleeding, the hare growled at the fox. Elliot just tipped his hat and saluted with his sword. They came at each other again. No more measuring of one's skill. Sparks flew as steel viciously clashed against steel, with blows aimed only to kill. Pressing the attack, Elliot forced his enemy against the stone edge of the bridge. With nowhere else to go, the hare rebounded off the wall with a desperate and deadly lunge. Elliot wished he could see the look on the young scoundrel's face as he pivoted on his heel, casually dodging his surprise attack. Momentum carried the cottontail past the spinning fox and exposed his back to the edge of Elliot's grim reminder. Elliot's blade tasted only metal, however, clashing against the sword of the hare's companion. Rather than attack, Elliot rolled to one side, narrowly avoiding the attack of the third hare as he too joined the battle. The fox scowled as he was thrown on the defensive, batting away a barrage of strikes, of increasing accuracy. When one interloper leaped behind the fox, Elliot dashed forward, sliding between the beasts and keeping them attacking from only one direction, if they got behind him. Then came the thrust, all 3 swords at once. Throwing grim reminder to his left paw, he parried from the side. All his might pushed against one opponent, forcing their blade to cross paths with the others and binding them together against the wall. With a feral grin, Elliot's free paw drew the long sword from his side, smashing the heavier blade against his enemy's. All 3 rapiers snapped in half. Elliot leveled his weapons at the main challenger, catching them all in a mid-terrified gasp. Our blades talked, but mine found the conversation to be rather dull. With a flick of his wrists, the swords were sheathed. Walking past them, Elliot only paused to say, Next time you come for my title, bring more friends. The gravedigger needs the business. The crowd parted for the fox, and it wasn't until he was out of sight did he finally lean against a market stall, fur bristled and muscles sore. You're too old, too fat, and far too lucky for your own good, Elliot. He continued to the nearest tavern with as much dignity as his shaky paws could muster.
Duelist Fiyero. Flash, slash, crash, the song of the blade. What I sing is true. I cut him right in two. Oh yes, the beast, the bracken beast of summer's glade. Fiyero held the final note of his song until he could draw breath no more. Finished, the cat collapsed into a deep bow. "Hurrah!" cried the crowd of beasts in Higglesnout's tavern, laughing and clinking together their tankards full of amber broth. A few of the beasts tossed coins at Fiyero's feet. Grinning ear to ear, the cat collected the earnings. "You're all too kind," Fiyero beamed, jangling the gold in his hands. "I believe this many coins can buy another round?" Another cheer erupted from the patrons, and Fiyero turned his attention to the barkeep, tossing the coins his way. "Well, you heard them, my good beast. Let's get another round going." As the rat got to work, Fiyero reached for his own tankard of neglected ale. His paw barely brushed it when a young rat shouted from the most jovial table in the place. "Oi, I can't believe you killed the bracken beast," he cried. "Ain't you said he was 2 badgers high?" Fiyero spun towards him and grinned. "Aye, he sure was. I won't lie, it was not an easy ordeal. It was a spectacular skirmish, a fantastic fight. Oh, it is a song I shall sing until I can't sing any more, which, I must say," Fiyero winked to the rat, "is an impossibility." "How'd you get past his axe?" the rat whispered. "You said he had an axe." "That part was simple," Fiyero laughed and leapt onto the table with arms held high. "I'm known as the Dancing Flash for a reason." The cat suddenly burst into blurry movement, prancing and weaving his footpaws between the full plates and glasses all across the table in expert fashion, clapping as he went. Not an ale was spilled nor plate displaced, and every beast erupted once more into cheer for the performance. That is, all except one. "So you're the Dancing Flash now, eh?" A pine marten rose from a table in the back. Fiyero slowed his footpaws, and when his eyes fell upon the dissenting beast, his smile faded. He noticed the marten's paw resting upon their weapon. "I remember when you were calling yourself by another name," the marten said. "I don't know what name that could be. I've only ever owned one," Fiyero replied, trying to salvage his smile. "So you're saying Soren the Silver ain't familiar to you?" Fiyero stared daggers at the beast, giving up on grinning. "No." "I find that interesting," the marten continued, nearing Fiyero. "You see, 2 seasons ago I was at a tavern named Moon Eyes, and there was a cat calling himself Soren the Silver, singing the same words you were singing. So if you're saying that cat wasn't you, then either Soren's lying about slaying this bracken beast, or you are." The tavern fell dead quiet. All eyes turned to Fiyero. The cat grit his teeth and took a deep breath. He knew what had to be said. "Or perhaps you're the one who's lying." "What did you say?" The marten finally drew his cutlass, and the tavern erupted into shouts and cheers. In seconds, all camaraderie was thrown out the door, too easily replaced with frenzied betting on the newly promised violence. Fiyero's heart sank. He wouldn't be singing again any time soon. "I'll cut that tongue right out of your mouth," the marten bellowed and charged at the cat. "You'll never get close enough to try," Fiyero hissed, drawing his saber at last. Flash, slash, crash.
So next up we have for the duelist Maut, who is a 28-year-old male fox. Maut. I'm presuming it's Maut and not Matt or Maut. Maut, as usual. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, that's your fault. So here is Maut. "'Member our old jobs, Fitch matey?" Maut said as he knocked an arrow to his bow. The stoat sitting at his side simply tilted his head upon hearing his name. The silver fox loosed the arrow at a target hung high upon a tree. It came very close to the centre. "You remember, don't you, mate? Like that time we had to traverse through Flitch-Eye territory." Maut aimed another arrow. Miss. "Damn!" He continued reminiscing as he continued his practice. For every bull's-eye or near hit, there were plenty that just barely made the target or went wide. The two worked many jobs in order to get by. This one had unfortunately required they escort some travelers through the cannibals' territory. It would have taken at least half the day to go around. Wearing wet kerchiefs over their snouts, Maut had Veach head into the Flitch-Eye tunnels and use the weasel's vapors against them, tossing it into their sleeping chambers and quickly running away, with Maut shooting any that dared try to make an escape. "Little flea-bitten cannibals never knew what hit 'em, eh, mate?" Veach simply stared. After a while, Maut put away his bow and started practicing with his sword. "Remember when we had to fend off that ambush?" They'd been hired out as bodyguards, escorting a rich couple home. They'd been ambushed by 20 weasels and rats. Maut rushed in without hesitation, making short work of the would-be marauders. A few put up a half-decent fight, however, the fox artfully dodging and parrying blows before heads rolled. Veach, for his part, had tackled his victims to the ground and ripped out the hapless vermin's throats. The silver fox chuckled. "Kind of miss those jobs, don't you?" Veach trilled a little. With the sun starting to set, Maut's silver fur made him easily start to blend into their forest surroundings. Not all the fox's jobs required charging headfirst into danger. Plenty of times Maut had been hired to slip into enemy territory. Very few ever noticed the silver fox as he sneaked around and listened in on their plans. "Maybe we'll get a fun job soon, one that'll provide us with a real challenge." At this point the stoat had curled up with a yawn. Suddenly he was alert and on his paws, ears swiveling to and fro. Maut noticed and was immediately tense, scanning his surroundings for whatever had his friend on edge. A badger-sized pine marten came towards the duo, broadsword in paw. "What do you want?" Maut said through clenched teeth, Veach growling lowly at his side. "Your head." "Excuse me?" "I've heard of ye. You're a skilled mercenary and spy, or so's I hear. You're responsible for the fall of my squad." The marten growled lowly. Maut stiffened. "You've no way of knowing if I had anything to do with that, and even if I was." The marten charged with a roar. Maut quickly brought up his sword and just barely blocked his swing. Veach lunged and bit into the marten's sword arm. He roared in pain and his grip loosened. Maut knocked the sword away as his attacker flung Veach to the side. He swung at him again, but his attack was weaker now, allowing the fox to dodge and strike. The marten's head fell to the ground, followed momentarily by the body. Maut rushed to his friend. "Veach, you okay?" Veach trilled weakly and nuzzled Maut's paw. "That was close, eh, mate?"